Good evening. This is the Point of News this Sunday evening. Thank you very much for joining us after that great piece by Zubeda.
Excellent piece.
Ubaraduli wa Ardhi, just taking a look at where we are in the country, over 50 years of independence and land being the thorniest issue and the most emotive issue in the country. Thank you very much, Zubeda Kome, for that one. Welcome to our bulletin tonight. My name is Yvonne Okwara Matole.
My name is John Alanamu. Catch Zubeda's piece on YouTube. It's just ended, but you can catch it on our KTN YouTube channel. But of course, tonight we've got also a very interesting discussion, one that we often point to in different circles as men, but we never really discuss substantively. And how interesting it is that you are the one.
That I'm the one who's doing it. No, anyway, we had a discussion about this, but let's not get into that. We tiptoe around this issue. And on Checkpoint, let's take a look at our Super Bowl. Hopefully it opens up just now. We discuss women's empowerment, and we've done this. We've talked about the 1/3 gender rule. We've talked about the opportunities available to girls and women. But what about the boy child? Now, has the boy child been neglected in favor of women empowerment? Or is it just that men have abdicated their roles and their responsibilities in society? We have a great panel talking about this tonight. Please do send in your views. Our SMS number is 22155. We also have Twitter. The hashtag we're using is Checkpoint, so we can follow your discussion on that. These are some statistics, and we'll tell you where we got them from. Maendeleo ya Wanaume did a study for the first 3 months of this year, and some of the things they found may be shocking to you if you think, well, the boy child is doing okay. But we won't just be talking about that controversy with Nderitu Njoka and the Maendeleo ya Wanaume organization. We'll also be talking to somebody this country knows very well, Pastor Simon Bevy. If you've heard about Boys to Men, not the R&B boy band from the States, but this great program. We'll be talking to him about the changes that he's trying to effect in society as far as the roles of men go.
Most definitely. But of course, tomorrow is a very interesting day for the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Some files are being forwarded just 2 days to the end of that 60-day countdown that we've been having here on Graph Countdown and Graph Diaries. 4 cabinet secretaries, a senator and a member of parliament are on that list. Who will be next? We've got the details for you. But right now, here are the highlights on KTN Weekend Prime.
Each and every individual has innocence presumed until proven guilty.
4 cabinet secretaries and Senator Mike Sonko to be prosecuted for corruption. And hundreds in procession to honor Sister Irene Stefani.
Kila siku report third person, livestock stolen. Tukaona wakihusia watoto yetu bunduki, watawaje shule na kwenda wapi? Vita.
The long road to peace between the Marakwet and the Pokot. And we revisit our archives and tell you about Kenya's second vice president.
Thank you so much for making time to be with us tonight. Our sign language interpreter is Meresha Owiti. Let's start with the fight against graft in the country. Corruption files against suspended cabinet secretaries Michael Kamau, Charity Ngilu, Kazungu Kambi and Felix Koskei will be presented to the Director of Public Prosecutions tomorrow. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission says a file on Nairobi Senator Mike Sonko and Lamu West MP Julius Ndegwa will also be forwarded to the DPP.
The commission, however, remains tight-lipped on its recommendations to the DPP, even as it asks for more time to conclude its investigations.
With just a day to the lapse of the 60-day ultimatum by President Uhuru Kenyatta to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to act on the list of shame, which includes some senior members of his administration, the spotlight was on the anti-corruption watchdog.
The commission has worked tirelessly and made good progress.
Progress that will see files on suspended cabinet secretaries facing corruption allegations land at the Director of Public Prosecution's desk in a few hours. The files on Transport Cabinet Secretary Engineer Michael Kamau, Lands Cabinet Secretary Charity Ngilu, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Felix Koskei, and Labour Cabinet Secretary Kazungu Kambi will include recommendations on the fate of the 4.
Each and every individual has innocence presumed until proven guilty.
The files on Nairobi Senator Mike Sonko and Lamu West MP Julius Ndegwa will also be forwarded to the DPP on Monday. Investigations into corruption allegations against Energy Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir are still ongoing. Of the 124 corruption files, the EACC has concluded investigations into 56 files, 26 of which have been forwarded to the DPP Keriako Tobiko. Already, the DPP has acted on the files, one of which saw MPs Alfred Keter and Sonia Birdi charged in court over breach of the Ethics and Integrity Act. With the EACC yet to conclude investigations into more than half of the cases in the list of shame, the anti-corruption watchdog failed to meet the president's deadline and is asking for more time.
The days that we need cannot succinctly be put numerically, because the fact about investigations is that you cannot have a clear-cut date or timeline where you can always confidently declare.
Some of the state and public officials in the list of shame are facing multiple allegations, and the EACC says no one, including the former Secretary to the Cabinet, Francis Kimemia, who has 3 cases, has been cleared in all cases.
The fact that some of the cases have been declared already by the DPP does not absolve each and everybody. Some of the PSS and the CSS have 3, 4, or even 5 cases, depending on which.
Francis Kimemia was cleared of allegations that he used his office to acquire a Kenya Railways house that had been set aside for purchase by former employees. He still faces 2 other cases, one over allegations of awarding a 1 billion shilling tender at the Ministry of Interior. Engineer Michael Kamau has 3 cases. The file on 1 case will be forwarded to the DPP as investigations in 2 other cases continue. The same case applies to Charity Ngilu. Felix Koske and Kazungu Kambi have 2 cases each. Only one of their files is being presented to the DPP. Rita Tinina, KTN.
And indeed, the days are slowly ticking down. We've come a long way from that very famous State of the Nation address by the President that got the ball rolling on this in the first place.
58 days to be exact. There's 2 days towards that deadline. And this answers some of the questions that the CIC was asking about whether the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission can work. But of course, we have to remember that it is a multi-agency task force that has been dealing with this.
Yeah.
But let's just go to the charges that the EACC would want preferred against a number of these cabinet secretaries. Of course, that won't happen until the DPP goes through these files and decides for himself whether the weight of these allegations can stand a test of a court battle. Now, the first cabinet secretary, of course, needs no introduction, Charity Ngilu, Land CS, and her file was forwarded for allegations that Ngilu conspired with Evanson Waitiki to defraud the government of 110 million shillings for some land that in Mombasa that the government wanted to purchase from Evanson Waitiki. Don't know who Evanson Waitiki is? Watch Zubeida Kome's story, the one that just ended, Ubaradhuli wa Ardhi, on our YouTube channel, and you'll get the entire context of the story of that land in Mombasa. Second cabinet secretary, of course, is before we go to the second cabinet secretary, there also are other files that are under investigation. She has 2 other files that are being investigated by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Alleged fraud concerning State House Crescent Road land, that allocation of land between a number of businessmen who have been fighting for that land with Charity Ngilu. Of course, that land, she says, belongs to the Foreign Affairs Ministry. The third allegation, the most by far explosive allegation against Charity Ngilu, because it came out even before her name was included in this, the Karen land grab saga. The allocation of 13.4 acres of land, public land in Karen, that land being the subject of a fight between 2 people, Jos Consolo as well as Dagama Rose, over double allocation. The second cabinet secretary, of course, is Felix Kosgei. Felix Kosgei, of course, is the Agriculture Cabinet Secretary, and his file is being forwarded. The one file that's being forwarded is over allegations of the leasing of land for of the Kenya Veterinary Vaccine organization in Limuru and in Kiambu, to be exact, that land being the subject of quite a bit of controversy. And there are also a number of files that are under investigation for various cabinet secretaries. He has just one other one, and that is the allegation of secret allocation of permits to import sugar into Kenya. Let's move forward to the next cabinet secretary whose file has been forwarded, and that is a Labour CES, Kazungu Kambi. And his file is being forwarded for the reason that there are allegations of irregular appointments of a number of NSSF, a number of people to the NSSF board, Mr. Andrew Geshamba and Ms. Veska Jepkemboi Kangongo to be exact. But he's also under investigation for one more thing still to do with the NSSF. Allegations that the NSSF Board of Trustees irregularly approved a budget for the development of Tasia 2 scheme, a 5 billion shilling budget, and that was irregular according to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Let's move forward. The third cabinet secretary who's also under investigation is engineer Michael Kamau. His file is being forwarded because there are allegations of embezzlement of funds, because he allegedly, in conspiring with a number of people from that ministry, trashed a consultant's design for the Kamukuywa Kimilili Road without following proper procedure. But he's also under investigation for two more reasons, and that is alleged abuse of office and irregular payment of monies for services not rendered in the construction of another road, the Garissa-Modika Road. But again, one other very heavy allegation, one that a lot of people have been talking about, and that is because he allegedly gave irregularly a contract to a clearing and forwarding firm for the clearing and forwarding of goods that are being imported by a company that is constructing the Mombasa-Nairobi Malaba Railway, the China Jiangxi company. And of course, that if that would be proved, there'd be very heavy allegations against him. Yvonne, lots of other files to be concluded, much more to be investigated, including Mike Sonko's file. Right. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, interestingly though, not saying why specifically Mike Sonko's file is being forwarded, that also of Julius Ndegwa.
Yeah, perhaps more will be revealed tomorrow. And 175 names were in that list. We've heard of just a few. I guess the question on Kenyans' minds will be what happens to the rest that we haven't heard about. But definitely some big news in the war on graft in the country. Thanks for that, John. Let's move away from matters of corruption and to some good news in Nyeri. We've been covering this for you the better part of last week. Hundreds of people joined a colorful procession in Nyeri town, marking the final day of the 3-day beatification ceremony of Sister Irene Stefani Nyatha. A special Thanksgiving Mass was held in her honor, with the final ritual, that of the interment of her relics, also taking place. Our reporter Sharma Manyu witnessed this historic ceremony and now reports.
As early as 7 a.m., the final process of the beatification celebrations began.
Lord our Father, we thank you for the gift of Pentecost.
First, the relics of blessed Sister Irene that were being preserved at the Mathare Mission Chapel would be moved. Her resting place as a blessed will be at the Our Lady of Consolata Cathedral in Nyeri town. A mega crowd honored the celebrated nun, braving the early morning cold weather and drizzle to attend the scheduled procession. The mammoth procession spiraled through the hilly curves of Nyeri town, singing songs of joy, dancing in celebration of the life of blessed Sister Irene, whom they called a mother full of mercy.
It has been a 3-day ceremony, one that has seen blessed Sister Irene Stefani one step further from being a saint. And today, the last ceremony has been joined by many people, showing the great honor that has been accorded to her.
The joyful mood of the celebrants made the 7-kilometer walk seem effortless. The procession ended up at the St. Mary's Boys Secondary School in Nyeri town, where a Thanksgiving Mass was to take place. Here too, the congregation was colossal. Song and dance colored the Thanksgiving Mass. A mass that was led by the Archbishop of the Diocese of Nyeri, Peter Cairo.
When you become a missionary, you don't bring in gloomness, but you bring in joy, happiness. The people say you are preaching. And also humility, unyenyekevu.
Other leaders were also present at the Mass, urging all to emulate the spirit of selflessness and kindness exuded by the nun.
What we have been told about Blessed Sister Irene, let if each one of us just borrowed a tenth, imagine what a beautiful country we would have. A country full of people who are humble, a country full of people who love each other.
We are saying thank you to Sister Irene because she gave and now you can see how Nyeri is. I want to assure the Archbishop and the people of Nyeri that indeed Nyeri is going to remain that way, and it not only will remain that way, we intend to carry on this good work to Mukurweine, to Odaya, to Karatina.
After the Thanksgiving Mass, her remains, contained in a special box known as a sarcophagus, were again taken in a procession to the Our Lady of Consolata Cathedral in Nyeri town. Here, the sarcophagus was interred in a special altar made of aluminium and bulletproof glass. She lies in between the graves of Archbishops Caesar Maria Gatimu and Nicodemus Kirima, also buried here. Blessed Sister Irene Nyadha Stefani was beatified on Saturday at the Dedan Kimathi University grounds here in Nyeri after a process that has taken about 28 years. It is the first time a beatification ceremony is taking place in the continent. Blessed Sister Irene is now just one step to becoming a saint, should it come to pass as per the Catholic process of sainthood. Up until such a possible time, which would see her relics transferred to Rome, the relics remained enshrined here in Nyeri. She has become a blessed. Catholic faithfuls can now pray for her intercession. Her name, her life, and heroic acts have become renowned not just in Kenya, but the world over. Sharma Mani, KTN, in Nyeri.
A bit of a correction before we move on with our stories. On that Karen land grab saga, it's not 13.4 acres, it's actually 134 acres. My apologies for that, but now we are corrected and we can move on. For decades, the borders of the North Rift have been the bone of contention between the communities living there. But the residents at one particular border, however, taking baby steps towards peaceful coexistence. The Pokot and the Marakwet use cultural laws to apprehend cattle rustlers pardoned by the government in 2009. The continuing disarmament program has continued to foster peace in that region. Mercy Kandia reports.
As the sun hides behind the Marakwet Hills, the termite hills in Murkuto village brings forth good things. So the village, with excitement, gets out to collect the free food, termites rich in protein. You don't need to be told, it's there for everyone to see. But the story of how the Marakwets are living at peace with their neighbors, the Pokots, is a story told here so the young know and keep it going for the sake of their future. A drive to Murkuto village and you can't miss the destroyed houses, the evidence of the Murkuto massacre that saw the killings of over 50 villagers.
Ndugu zetu wa Pokot walituamkia saa 11 asubuhi. Watu walikuwa wamelala. Sasa wakachoma manyumba, watu waliuliwa.
But that was 10 years ago. The guns in the valleys went silent, giving opportunities for economic activities here to thrive. But before the Pokots and the Marakwet lived together in peace, the border here was a no-go zone.
Kila siku report third person, livestock stolen, third person every day. Katika diary yangu nilikuwa naandika kila mtu, kila siku mtu mmoja na wawa amba musi 50 naenda.
But that peace was not acquired overnight. It's a progress, the chiefs say, a joint effort from the Pokot and the Marakwet, and the use of local laws and customs to discipline the villagers.
if you kill another Pokot, there's what we call lapai compensation, where you pay dearly for that for the death of that person. Now we transferred this to look into our agreement between the Pokot and the Marakwet. If a Pokot goes to the Marakwet and kills, we must compensate them.
Culture is superior to an individual, and it was the cultural fines and laws that worked well along the Pokot-Marakwet border.
2009, a Pokot by the name Lorarum was killed in a place called Lomuge by the Marakwet of Marakwet East. We came with the leadership of Marakwet, including the former MP Lina Chebi Kilimo, and also Honorable Asman Kamama was here, of Tiati, and all the chiefs. We agreed that our community must be compensated as per the agreement. We were paid 80,000 cash and 32 goats. 2011, a Pokot killed a Marakwet by the name Lutingro. We did the same.
Education is also said to play a major role in building peace and widening opportunities to the learners. Schools, including Queen of Peace Chesongoch, are some of the schools that brought the two communities together.
Pokot will never make attacks when their own children are living in Marakwet. They will never even attempt to organize a raid when their own people live in the other side.
When you have these learners in school, the issues of you being a Marakwet, being a Pokot, being a Luya, being a what, never arise because it's never there in our curriculum.
They have learned to share the limited resources. 33 Pokot households are on the Marakwet side.
Pokot ya Baringo wamefuka ng'ambo pande hii, tukakubaliana na hawa na wasee tumekubaliana wakae ng'ambo hii kuchunga mifuko.
Tukaona wakiushia watoto wetu bunduki watawaje shule na kwenda wapi? Vita. Tukamwambia there is no gun, itauswa kwa Marakwet.
Marakwet East Member of Parliament Kangogo Bowen agrees that former MP JB Kilimo played a big role in building peace. He says his role as a leader is to pick up from where it was left.
But we have put some measures so that in case there is something small, we tell the Council of Elders to sort it very fast. But it requires the leaders to be on the ground. We are normally on the ground to tell our people that is wrong.
Over 1,000 cattle rustlers have reformed so far, including Leron Koi, who was a gang leader. He now focuses on farming as his source of livelihood. So the peace blossoms over time. For those who know how far they have come from, the small steps are to be celebrated. They know how hard they have worked for it. Years back, the sound of gunshots signifying the exchange of gunfire within the valley was a normal occurrence. But over time, that has changed. What residents of Marakwet attribute to education that led to the change in mindset among the villagers. Masi Kandie, KTN, Elgeyo Marakwet County.
That following on a discussion that we had yesterday on the other Kenya. Great story, Mercy, following up on that disarmament and peace between the Pokot and the Marakwet. But tonight we've got a very interesting discussion on Checkpoint, and that is the fate, the faltering fortunes of the boy child here in Kenya. Now, with the girl child, with education of the girl child and many other parameters concerning women, there's lots of statistics. There really have been a huge attempt to be able to measure in very many ways the progress of the girl child towards parity. But what about boys, Yvonne?
What about the boy child? And I remember distinctly a few weeks back we did a story about mothers taking their boys for a mass circumcision. And if you recall, one of our panelists tonight actually tweeted and said, you see, this is the problem we have. Not so much that there's mass circumcision, but where are the men?
Why aren't the men there?
Yes, nothing wrong with the mothers doing it, but why aren't the men there? So the question we're asking tonight is it neglect of the boy child at the expense of women empowerment, or is it that the men are are not taking responsibility? Have the roles been redefined? Is this something we need to do over again? I want to give you some statistics. Can't put all of them here, but this is a research that was done on the neglect of the boy child. It was done by Maendeleo ya Wanaume organization. Controversial as it may be, they tried to put together some statistics. Now, they've clustered some of the counties here, and this is just a representation of some of their research. In these counties, Nyeri, Murang'a, Kirinyaga, and Nyandarua counties, they say 35% of school dropouts are boys. And 13% of boys join university. This is, of course, looking at the transition rates versus 20% of girls that join university. So showing that the girls are doing a little better than the boys. Let's take a look at the next one. And if we can move to the next cluster of counties, of course, in Nyeri, you know, one of the other bigger issues is alcohol abuse. And these are some of the issues that are affecting the boy child. I've also taken a look at what's happening in the counties at the coast. Many of the boys, they say, are leaving school to go into the mines, and take a look at that. Now we come a little closer here to the capital, Nairobi, Kiambu, and Kajiado counties. This is what they say. 40% of boys drop out of school for menial street jobs, and 70% of boys drop out in slums in classes 2, 3, and 4. Now, these are just some of the statistics that they have for you today. If you take a look at what's happening within the North Rift in those counties there, during conflict, areas that have experienced that, the boys are the ones who are forced to drop out of school to protect their families, boys dropping out for farming and animal husbandry duties. Has the boy child been forgotten is some of the things we're going to be talking about. And if you take a look at all those other statistics, boys are dropping out to engage in fishing and rampant child labor for boys under the age of 13. So some of these statistics that have been presented, Nderitu Njoka will be joining our panel tonight, but hopefully we can take it beyond looking at these statistics. And asking ourselves what we're doing about it. And I think one of our panelists, Pastor Simon Bevy, is here to talk about just that, one of his programs. I mean, it's Transform Kenya, but it's really overall. It's not just about the boy child.
True, and I think that is a fundamental question here. What are we doing about it as men? We know as men we often complain that the girl child is being privileged over the boy child, but what are the measurable actions that have been taken? Right. That's something that would be interesting to note. Already some feedback here on our hashtag checkpoint. Branded IQ says, a boy not well equipped for the future is a time bomb waiting to happen. And Nancy Okuta agrees, says, yes, girl child is privileged. The boy has to compete to get anything. Honorable Mbugwa Kamau at Ambassador Stephen Mbugwa says the fate of the boy child is fading from kindergarten to bunge. We need men reps too.
All right. I distinctly remember us talking about the men's fund.
Well, do you know who Kenya's second vice president was? Well, he served as Kenyatta's second vice president for only 4 months before he was succeeded by Daniel Arap Moi.
Here's KTN's Stanley Mbichu with more on that. He was actually out on the streets, wasn't he? Let's see how well you know your history tonight.
Since independence, Kenya has had 8 vice presidents and 1 deputy president. Kenya has also been served by 4 presidents during the same period. But do Kenyans know who the second vice president was?
Makamu wa pili wa Rais Kenyatta alikuwa Moi.
That one I'll have to check.
Do you know who's Kenyatta's second vice president?
Yeah, I think I know it was Tomboya.
Yeah, alikuwa ni Kalonzo Musyoka.
The second vice president of Kenya was Joseph Murumbi.
This is Zuzarte Murumbi, the second vice president to Kenyatta in 1966. Of the 8 vice presidents, Josephat Karanja, Musalia Mudavadi, and Joseph Murumbi were the shortest serving vice presidents at different times. Murumbi found himself thrust into the center of leadership in 1966 after Oginga Odinga during Jomo Kenyatta's regime. He served for only 4 months from the 3rd of May to the 31st of August. This son of a Goan trader and a Maasai woman then quit politics in the same year after the first political assassination of Pio Gama Pinto in Kenya. Articles written about him say he was an artifact collector. The Kenya National Archives has set up the Murumbi Gallery within the building, displaying the different African artifacts that were collected by the rarely spoken of man of history.
Everything you are seeing down here and up there was collected by Murumbi.
Tushangilie Kenya, taifa letu tukufu, Kenya tunayoipenda, Kenya nchi tunayoipenda.
Some of the 8,000 rare books, those published before the year 1900, are contained in a library inside the Kenya National Archives entrusted for safety upon his death in the year 1990. His body lies at the Murumbi Peace Memorial in City Park, Nairobi.
Kwa hii muda wote nimekaa hapa, watu wengi huwa wanakuja wakiniuliza Joseph Murumbi ni nani, lakini hawajui kama alikuwa second vice president wa Kenya.
The only shrine and graves around where he rests are as old as time can tell. Exactly 10 years after he was laid to rest, his wife Sheila Murumbi was also laid next to him. However, 25 years on, most Kenyans still do not know who Joseph Murumbi was. Stanley Mbichu, KTN.
And barely 6 months after winning the Sawyer Disability Award, Nikhil Shakanya bagged the coveted Motorsport Personality of the Year award during the Kenya Motorsport Federation Awards. Teenage star Tejaz Hirani walked away with 4 trophies, among them the Autocross and Rally Raid Buggy Championships.
After entertaining Kenyans with their motor skills both on the roads and rally tracks, it was time to recognize drivers whose stars shone the brightest at the Kenya Motorsports Federation Awards Gala.
Sport Personality of the Year 2014, Nikhil Shakanya.
26-year-old Nikhil Shakanya walked away with the much-coveted Motorsport Personality of the Year 6 months after bagging the Disability Award at the Sawyer Awards. Nikhil becomes the first physically challenged driver to win the award. Veteran rally driver Balev Chaga was named Rally Driver of the Year for a second time running, a feat he hopes to repeat next year.
I was not expecting this award. It means the world to me. It's been a fantastic year, 2014, and yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Part of this year, it's still clicking in place, but we're not leading the championship yet. So our main aim is to focus and do the best we can in the next 5 events.
Tejaz Hirani, who won the Formula Gulf 1000 in Dubai, scored 4 awards during the night, including Autocross and Rally Awards. The youngster has his sights set on getting into rallying soon.
I start my debut to become a world champion. I will start doing the World Rallycross Series in Spain, Norway and Turkey, and hopefully from then on I become a world champion.
I'm hoping for top 5 finishes, but yeah, I can't promise anything. I'm still getting used to my car. So yeah, probably give me a year and then we'll see.
Karan Patel was awarded the Most Improved Rally Driver of 2014, while Manpreet Sago was the Most Improved Rally Raid competitor, as Maxine Wahome won the Ladies Rose Bowl Award. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.
The countdown to the World Athletics Championships in Beijing later this year is set to be officially on after a series of track and field competitions across the globe. Kenya's Magdalene Masai won the 3,000-meter steeplechase in a meeting record of 9 minutes 31.55 seconds at the Dakar IAAF World Challenge meeting.
Kenyan athletes have continued to shine at the ongoing IAAF World Challenge Series, perhaps a sign of what to expect at the Bird's Nest Stadium come August. Kenya's Magdalene Masai, a younger sister to 2009 World 10,000 meters champion Lynette Masai, continued her breakthrough in the 3,000 meter steeplechase race at the Dakar World Challenge meeting. The 22-year-old finished more than 2 seconds from Ethiopia's 2011 world finalist Birkan Fente, winning in 9 minutes 31.55 seconds to set her third personal best time in as many races this year. Ethiopian junior Beyuzehu Mohamed set a personal best of 9 minutes 40 seconds in third place, 8 seconds ahead of 2012 world junior champion Daisy Chepkemei, who had beaten Mohamed to the bronze medal at the last year's IAAF World Junior Championships. Elsewhere, Kenya's Gladys Cherono broke the 10 kilometers Ottawa coast record in a time of 30 minutes 56 seconds to better Mary Kitanyi's record time of 31 minutes 21 seconds set at the event last year. She shook off stiff competition from Perez Jepchirchir, who finished second. In the men's race, Nicholas Bor led Kenyans to a clean podium finish. Bor clocked 27 minutes 55 seconds to win the Ottawa 10 kilometers road race. Lynn Washira, KTN.
The Nairobi Champions Cup entered its second weekend at the Dandora Stadium. Kuwinda knocked out Rada Sports 1-0, while Equity qualified to the next round without breaking a sweat after their opponents Kariobangi youngsters were unable to turn up for the match.
Naivas team that is taking part in the Nairobi Provincial League bundled out host Dandora All Stars 3-1 through penalties after the two sides had played each other to a 1-1 draw. The side is using these matches to gel as they continue in the lower tier league.
Kutusaidia vile tutasaidia kutoka mtaani hapa. Tungekuwa mtaani labda tunafanya vitu zingine, lakini God amepatia talent na tunacha na tumepata hii tournament, tunaweza give 1 2 3 things
kwa vipaji za wale vijana tuko nazo ziweze kuonekana through exposure through this kind of tournaments ambazo tunaweza kusaidia wachezaji vizuri wa keep off from vices.
The organizers are pleased that the tournament has been embraced by the fans. The championship, whose winner will bag $1 million shillings, is used to tap talent as well as ensuring that youths are kept away from vices.
Tunajaribu kuleta football at the grassroots level ili kupatia vijana wa chini motisha ya kuwezesha kucheza mpira na roho moja, wakitarajia kuna mapato mazuri ambao watapata hapo mbele.
In other results, Babadogo thumped Kayole 3-1, while Komarok All Stars knocked out Nyati 2-1.
All right, as we wind up on just getting some feedback, winding up on checkpoints. Yeah, just getting some of your feedback from Checkpoint. The hashtag, of course, was Checkpoint. Shout the Silence says, the boy child has no societal support to be all they can be. They are assumed to be men and know all and sort all out. Now here's the converse to this tweet. Nderito Morethi says, if a man starts complaining, that makes us women. A man keeps silent. Finally, Men Engage Kenya Network, perhaps in response to some of the things that were said on your panel, Yvonne. No authentic organization that seeks to engage men will discredit women's rights work.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it's not us versus them. At Naisuch, I believe, you say, how can my son and I enroll for the empowerment program by the pastor? I'll be tweeting you the details to Pastor S's program. And I think it's something important. Look, here is what Nderutu Njoka had to say that I thought was really profound at the end. That education is what's going to be the key towards, you know, getting boys and girls, men and women, on an equal footing, if you like, or giving them access to the same opportunities and advantages. And like you said, at the end, let's educate children, period. Not boys
or girls.
Not girls. Let's educate children. Some of those statistics that he had to give were quite interesting, quite frightening, perhaps opening up our minds to what we think we knew, or, you know, in fact, what we didn't know at all. So thank you for that feedback.
Before we go, what's the one thing that you're taking away from that conversation?
There's many things. Well, I think one that it's never a contest. It's never going to be a contest. But I think that we need to start talking about gender empowerment, gender initiatives. And when we talk about gender, it's not about women. Yeah.
Interesting. The one thing that I'm taking away from that conversation was something that Pastor S said when he said that he was concerned about who's going to marry his daughter. That really brought it home for me. As a person with a daughter, I was like, yes.
Right. Yeah. So we need to start empowering those boys. And I think Darren Tujoka had also mentioned that as well. You have boys addicted to drugs and alcohol. And then what happens to these girls and women who are so empowered and have these fantastic, successful careers? There you go. So some thoughts for you. What was your take home? Keep tweeting. And, you know, the conversation doesn't have to end here. Thank you for that. Of course, it's the #1 trend on Twitter tonight. We thank you for your feedback. Keep talking about it. That's the idea. earlier of the show. Thank you very much for watching. We definitely will be following the big stories in the coming week. Graph Diaries, will it all be coming to a head tomorrow and in the days to come? My name is Yvonne Okwara Matole. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
My name is John Alanamu. Good night. Have a great week ahead and keep watching KTN.